Hello, I'm James Ezimoha and you're watching A News. Let's see your headlines. The United States and Iran are escalating tensions in the Gulf, trading conflicting claims over recent incidents at sea. Austria has expelled 3 Russian diplomats over alleged espionage activities in Vienna. And the European Union and Armenia sign a connectivity partnership deal in Yerevan. Tensions between the United States and Iran are escalating, with both sides trading claims over military clashes in the Gulf and warnings of further confrontation. Here's more.
New clashes between the United States and Iran are raising fears of escalation after a US operation to move ships through the Gulf triggered fresh attacks. Within hours, both sides reported strikes, with missiles and drones exchanged as tensions intensified. According to US Central Command, American forces targeted Iranian small boats during the operation, using naval and air assets to intercept threats. Iran has rejected that account, warning that any foreign military presence would be met with a response. Meanwhile, conflicting claims have emerged over a reported strike on a US warship. Iranian media says a frigate was hit and forced to retreat, while US officials deny that any vessel was struck. Amid the escalation, US President Donald Trump warned Iran it would be blown off the face of the earth if it attacks US ships involved in the mission. US officials say guided missile destroyers are supporting the operation, and that 2 US-flagged vessels have already transited the area under military escort, a claim disputed by Iran. At the same time, US Central Command Chief Brad Cooper says airstrikes destroyed several Iranian boats, although Tehran denies any losses. Beyond the immediate clashes, the escalation is having wider regional impact. Several vessels have reported explosions or fires, while a major oil port in the United Arab Emirates has been set ablaze by missile strikes. The latest violence comes despite a fragile ceasefire agreed in early April and follows weeks of mounting tension after Iran tightened control over the route in late February, restricting vessels linked to the United States and Israel.
Iran's armed forces have asserted their control over the Strait of Hormuz as military commanders warn against the transit of foreign vessels from the strategic waterway without the Islamic Republic's permission. Our correspondent Tura Shirelilu has more.
The Iranian military commanders have stressed that foreign vessels intending to sail through the Strait of Hormuz, connecting the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman, shall first obtain Iran's permission to do so. Their statements came on Monday after Iran's warning gave way to action, with reported firing at US frigates in the strategic waterway, which Washington says are on the escort patrolling operation. Meantime, Iran has not claimed responsibility for drone attacks on the United Arab Emirates, with local media reports blaming it on the US forces in the region. Major General Amir Hatami, Commander-in-Chief of Iran's army, said in a post on X social platform that the security of the region is Iran's red line. And Brigadier General Hossein Mohebbi, the spokesman for Revolutionary Guards, stressed in a statement that all safe maritime movement of commercial vessels should comply with the transit protocols issued by the Guards Navy and through the specified route. Also, Ali Akbar Ahmadian, representative of Supreme Leader of Iran in the Defense Council, wrote in a post on X, "The American pirates who captured the world's shipping and energy security should know that asymmetric combined operations will change the equations in a way that the cost of their decision will exceed their tolerance threshold." Earlier on Monday, the commander of Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, Major General Ali Abdullahi, had strongly reacted to US President Donald Trump's announcement on navigation across the Strait of Hormuz, escorted by the US Navy. He said, "We warn that any foreign armed force, especially the invading American army, will be attacked if they intend to approach and enter the Strait of Hormuz." Turaj Shiralilu, Tehran, Foreign News.
Now, reported Iranian drone and missile strikes have targeted the United Arab Emirates, sparking a fire at the Fujiri oil industry zone. The UAE has condemned the attacks as a serious escalation, stating it reserves the right to respond. Fujairah is a critical and strategic asset, serving as one of the few oil export routes that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Russia and Ukraine are trading rival ceasefire proposals ahead of Victory Day. While both Moscow and Kyiv have suggested a pause in fighting, residents in both capitals expressed deep skepticism. Here's more.
President Vladimir Putin has declared a two-day ceasefire for May 8th and 9th to mark the end of World War II. In response, President Volodymyr Zelensky countered with his own proposal for a pause starting even earlier. But on the streets of Moscow, the mood is a mix of anxiety and defiance. While some feel secure, others question if enough is being done to protect them.
I also feel that our authorities and leadership don't do enough in protecting us. There is no sense being in constant stress, because if something strikes on me, it will just strike, and I can do nothing with it. But the authorities can.
Other Russians remain defiant, believing their military defenses will hold regardless of any formal agreement.
I think it is unlikely that Zelensky will keep the ceasefire. Everything that flew before will fly, but we have the sense of security. I think they will repel everything and everything will be good.
In Kiev, Zelensky dismissed the Russian offer as utter cynicism following deadly overnight strikes. Distrust among Ukrainians remains absolute.
Putin cannot be trusted. He won't actually do anything he promises. The truce will be such that we are not going to not bomb the Red Square.
For those under daily bombardment, the desire for a pause is overshadowed by the fear of further provocations.
I would like to see a ceasefire, to see the war end. Because when you live under attacks every day, well, it's impossible to believe what they say. But I would like to believe it.
Moscow and Kiev remain locked in a diplomatic standoff as May 9th approaches. With neither side trusting the other's intent, the prospects for a functional ceasefire on the ground remain low.
The International Energy Agency is warning that methane emissions from the energy sector are near record highs, but it says tackling them could unlock new gas supplies at a crucial time for the world. The IEA report says emissions from fossil fuels like methane stayed elevated in 2025 despite pledges from governments and industry to cut down. The report highlighted an opportunity to reduce methane emissions by around 70% using existing technology at little or no cost. And that could free up as much as 200 billion cubic meters of gas each year. The IEA says taking action on methane could boost energy security at a time when global supplies are strained. Now, Austria has expelled 3 Russian diplomats over alleged allegations they may have used diplomatic buildings in Vienna for espionage activities. The officials were declared persona non grata after concerns that satellite equipment and at buildings used by Russia in Vienna may have been deployed for intelligence gathering. The Austrian foreign minister said diplomatic immunity cannot be used for espionage. Russia's embassy rejected the move and warned of a strong response, calling the decision unjustified. Austria has now expelled 14 Russian diplomats since 2020. A deadly factory blast in central China has killed at least 26 people and injured more than 60 others. The explosion happened at a fireworks manufacturing site in Hunan province, prompting a major rescue operation and a call for accountability from President Xi Jinping.
A deadly explosion at a fireworks factory in central China has killed at least 26 people and injured dozens more. It happened on Monday in the city of Liuyang in Hunan province, one of China's main fireworks manufacturing hubs. Smoke was seen rising from a large site where buildings had collapsed and debris was scattered across the factory compound. Chinese state media said rescue teams were immediately deployed after the explosion, which remains a high-risk area. In total, around 500 rescue personnel were sent to the scene, along with 3 robots. They used a human-machine coordinated approach to carry out their search of the site. Those who were injured were taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. Nearby residents have been evacuated, and a safety perimeter has been set up. The person in charge of the company has been detained, and the cause of the accident is under investigation. President Xi Jinping is calling for full accountability and ordered authorities to strengthen their hazard control efforts in key industries. China remains the world's top exporter of fireworks, with overseas sales worth $1.14 billion last year.
Now, North Korea has opened a major trade fair in Pyongyang, bringing foreign diplomats and participants to the capital. Here's more.
North Korea has opened the 24th Pyongyang Spring International Trade Fair. State media says products from around 290 companies are on display, with participants from North Korea, Russia, China, Mongolia, Switzerland, and Thailand. The event is one of North Korea's few international trade shows, bringing foreign diplomats and companies into Pyongyang. The exhibition includes mobile phones, food products, public health items, and locally produced medicines.
Our Korean Mangyong company has presented high-tech products at this exhibition, including the Jindalai 12 and 11 smartphones, a 6th-generation wireless network connector, an identification and payment card.
North Korea's External Economic Relations Minister said the fair would support wider economic cooperation with other countries.
At this exhibition, our Tosong Technical Cooperation and Exchange Company has presented more than 60 kinds of medicines, including Tosong Chonghyol pills and ginseng hepatitis capsules. These medicines, produced with our own capability, technology and raw materials, are highly favoured by our people for their effectiveness in cleansing blood vessels and treating hepatitis.
North Korea has remained under heavy UN sanctions for nearly 20 years over its nuclear and missile programs, limiting much of its trade with the outside world.
All right, after the break, we'll examine Iran's claim that it struck a U.S. warship in the Strait of Hormuz and Washington's firm denial as military deployments increase. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, Iran says it has struck a U.S. warship with 2 missiles, a claim strongly denied by the United States, which says its forces are actively securing commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. With a major U.S. military buildup now in place and oil prices climbing, the question is whether this is a controlled standoff or the start of something more serious. Now we're joined by Enrique Cosero, political analyst, joining us from Madrid, Spain. Thank you for being with us. Now, we have 2 completely opposing claims. So is this a military incident or a battle over narrative and perception?
First and foremost, good afternoon. And here what I see is that, of course, Iran has to score some points in front of their people, especially when their people got no other way to get the news that the official channels from the regime, right? And the other is that the United States is dealing with a very, very fragile situation, which means that President Trump has exceeded the 60 days term that the Congress will I don't know how to say it, will look to the other side in order to let the president to act in the name of the country's defense. Right now, that term has been surpassed last May 1st, and he's obliged to ask for some permission, not yet from some permission to the Congress, but to inform the Congress about that unavoidability of the situation and unavoidability of the conflict. So he's gonna, with that letter, he will ask for 3 more days. So at this point, Iran wants, as I said, Iran wants to score some points in front of their people, and the United States don't want to alarm their people because of a conflict that is going far longer than was expected. So I think we're in front of what we can call more a struggle, a conflict of versions than a precise report about the combat.
Mm-hmm. Now, the U.S. already has or had significant naval and air assets in place. Does that suggest anticipation of escalation rather than reaction?
Right now, we're in a situation that retaliation and reaction and a proportional response have to be in place, especially from the United States. We are considering that yesterday and the day before yesterday, the Emirates were attacked. The strait, the part of the Emirates, this part of the strait that belongs to the Emirates was on fire few hours ago. So and the Emirates are trying to to show some sort of indignation or angriness in some sort, but they know for sure that without the United States they can't do really much. So I think that we're trying, we're witnessing some sort of detent in not in the not in the most polite, not in the most clean, in the clean meaning of the word. The United States are trying to. I'm pretty sure the United States they're trying to calm down the anger of the Emirates. Saudi Arabia wanted, if you remember, Iran to be completely the regime completely dismantled 3 or 4 weeks ago. So as a players, they're trying to take part of the situation, and the United States, I think that any sort of escalation is going to cost the President Trump a lot more than he expected last February the 28th. So, as I said, we're in a situation that, especially the United States, are trying to get in a detent status that in order to tranquilize, in order to calm all the actors in place.
Mm-hmm. Now, how central is the Strait of Hormuz to Iran's leverage right now, and how far can it push without crossing a red line?
Yesterday, the Department of War asked to their ships that about a change of the rules of engagement. The previous one was if you are attacked, then attack, but you can attack in first place. And right now, the rules of engagement have been changed, and they are defined like anything that sounds like a threat, you can fire to, you can attack to, right? So that's a very important step, probably to avoid any sort of attack of the small boats from Iran, and trying to send a message to Iran, saying that all that operations you've been developing in the strait in order to attack any boat, any ship that are trying to cross the strait, they're gonna have an answer from our part. So they're escorting those ships, and if in case that any Navy ship considers any other boat, any other small boat a threat, is gonna be shot, and that's for sure, because they already got the permission. But we also got the mines, and we also got all the routes that are open, because in any other case, their mines are gonna explode. This is a very raw way to see it, but is the way to say it.
Okay.
So Iran is, I think, Iran is now. I don't believe some informations, some intel are telling that in Iran there are two sides in the consideration about how to take this situation all along. One is a very aggressive one, probably commanded by people on the IRGC, and the other is a very more is a really more tamed one, that trying to get an agreement before the situation gets worse.
Yeah.
Because we have to consider that since February 28th, even economically, Iran has been affected, losing 2 million jobs within the country.
Yes. Now, I want to get your opinion on the economic side of things. Oil prices are already rising. Are markets reacting to real risks or pricing in worst-case scenarios?
Wow, that's tough, because we've been watching how any word of Donald Trump during the last 2 months has been commanding or has been ruling the fluctuations of the stocks, and has been ruling the prices of the crude oil. So I think Donald Trump has no longer any credit in saying in whatever he says about if the situation is up to be solved in a very short time. So the markets don't believe Donald Trump anymore, and Donald Trump knows for sure that the situation in the United States is starting to look really, really ugly. And we got this date, which is Memorial Day. It's going to be next May 25th, which is a sort of a big celebration in the country, in which almost everybody wants to make a trip, try to leave home for some vacations, etc., etc. So if about that day, if about May 20th, May 21st, the situation is not solved, and the oil prices come back to an affordable price, or to an affordable quantity, to an affordable price, the situation in the United States, the perception and the perception of the president and his management of the situation and his management of the country is gonna get really, really worse, and it's not bad already. So I think that Donald Trump is on a rush, because these two things we've been talking about. And the first thing is on the one side is the permission he has to ask to the Congress, no matter how, and then the other is going to be oil prices. And no American president wants to have a population that is suffering or is struggling with the money, especially when the holidays is coming.
Yeah. Now, the U.S. says it's escorting commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. Does that reduce risk or increase the chance of direct confrontation? Or could you say it's rage baiting, as it were?
As I said before, they've changed the rules of engagement, which means that right now, if anything, an American Navy ship considers a threat, he can shoot to, right? So we can consider that some sort of disclaimer in order to avoid any sort of attack from small boats, which are the ones that are making more damages to commercial ships. So if those Navy ships are scoring the commercial ships, the tankers, and so forth, that's just going to be part of the disclaiming operation, trying to avoid attacks. But here right now there is the other part. What happens, and I think one of the questions we have to ask is what happens if one of those commercial ships, one of those tankers, scored by a Navy ship or by 2 or 3 or more Navy ships, find a rogue boat trying to harm the convoy. That is not going to be a very good perspective in order to keep the peace. We know for sure that during the last 2 days, Iran has been attacking and breaching the ceasefire, and the United States is not considering whatever happened as a breach of the ceasefire. Mm-hmm. We know for sure that it is, because those attacks means just only the attack itself, means that there is a breach of the ceasefire. But the United States are trying to not to look that way, not to look to that side of the conflict, and saying, okay, we're gonna consider this some sort of an anecdote, and we're gonna try to get along with a ceasefire.
All right.
But if an American ship is gonna be involved in some sort of attack, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Enrique Cosero, political analyst in Madrid, Spain. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, after the break, we'll take a closer look at the key stories shaping the region. Stay with us. Welcome back to Way News, and now we turn to our regional stories. Azerbaijani Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov and EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas have held high-level talks in Baku. The meeting focused on establishing a more structured partnership with a major emphasis on expanding the Middle Corridor and energy security. Highlighting Azerbaijan as a reliable partner, Kallas pointed to shared interests in trade and transport. The discussions also addressed regional security, including demining activities in liberated regions and the South Caucasus normalization process. Now, Yerevan has hosted a summit with the European Union on Tuesday. It comes as the country is seeing a shift from its long-standing ally, Russia.
The first ever bilateral summit between the European Union and Armenia was held in the Armenian capital, Yerevan, on Tuesday. The meeting reinforced cooperation in connectivity, security and defence, and economic development. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa attended the summit, where they were welcomed by Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. The leaders oversaw the signing of several bilateral documents, including the EU-Armenia Connectivity Partnership, 6 non-binding letters of intent, a new working arrangement between Armenia and Frontex, and a visa report. On security and defence, the leaders welcomed the establishment of an EU partnership mission in Armenia. At Armenia's request, the EU will support efforts to enhance the country's resilience. The Armenian Armed Forces also received initial deliveries of EU assistance under the European Peace Facility, with a total value of €30 million.
We are equally committed to supporting Armenia's national resilience and your security. The new European Union Partnership Mission in Armenia will help strengthen crisis response capacities and contribute to the country's long-term stability.
Under the European Peace Facility, we are supporting the Armenian Armed Forces, but Armenia has also to counter foreign information manipulation, hybrid threats, interference. Our new EU partnership mission will support you in countering these hybrid threats and disinformation.
The summit comes as Armenia gradually moves away from its long-standing ally Russia and Russia-led groups such as the CYS and the Collective Security Treaty Organization.
Now, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan says a de facto peace now exists with Azerbaijan, pointing to a historic shift in shared rhetoric. Addressing EU chiefs in Yerevan, he stressed that unblocking regional borders is vital and added that the peace declaration signed in Washington last August is only the beginning.
Signing and ratifying a peace agreement does not mean the work is finished. On the contrary, the text of the agreement itself makes it clear that additional arrangements will be required afterward, including on sectoral cooperation. For example, in the transport sector, we are already cooperating today without any separate agreement. And of course, it is extremely important that we fully open roads for each other, including the opening of the border with Turkey. I have no doubt that this will happen. For the first time in our shared history, Armenia and Azerbaijan are using the same or very similar rhetoric. In particular, I have noticed that I myself very often speak in this way. We are learning to live in conditions of peace. Moreover, we are still trying to understand what peace is, what it represents, what its form and substance are.
Now, 3 Azerbaijani experts are participating in the Yerevan Dialogue 2026 in Armenia. They attended as part of the Bridge of Peace initiative, a civil society effort to foster dialogue and cooperation across the region. Organizers say the forum brings together regional voices to discuss confidence-building measures and next steps for reconciliation. Now, Istanbul is holding one of the largest defense and aerospace events in Europe as it hosts the Saha 2026 exhibition. The event has seen thousands of companies taking part. Nuray Mustafa has more.
Organized by Saha Istanbul, the Saha 2026 exhibition has officially begun in Istanbul at the Istanbul Expo Center. More than 1,700 companies are taking part in the event. The exhibition is considered one of the largest defense and aerospace events in Turkey and Europe. It's being held under the slogan, Master Technology Shape the Future. As in previous year, the exhibition has attracted significant interest. The 2024 edition, participants from over 120 countries attended. More than 25,000 meetings were held and cooperation activities worth $6.2 billion were achieved. The official opening ceremony has already taken place. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the board of Saha 2026, Haluk Bayraktar, addressed the impact of global political tensions in the defense industry and technology. Within the framework of Saha 2026, official delegations and companies are coming together with meetings being held to establish new partnerships. The exhibition features drone demonstrations, technology presentations and competitions. The World Drone Wars event being held for the first time has also drawn particular attention. Overall, more than 300 new products are expected to be showcased during the exhibition, alongside the signing of various agreements. Nuray Mustafa ve Hajiyev for A News, Istanbul, Turkey.
Now, aid agencies are warning that global shipping disruptions and rising oil prices are now directly affecting some of the world's most vulnerable people, including children in Afghanistan. The Guardian has reported that the cost of bringing food into Afghanistan has tripled, forcing the World Food Programme to take longer and more expensive routes to deliver emergency supplies. Our correspondent Tamim Bahis has more from Kabul.
The warning here in Kabul is extremely serious. According to The Guardian, John Aliyev, the World Food Programme's country director in Afghanistan, said the cost of getting food into this landlocked country has now tripled. The report says WFP stocks of fortified biscuits, a vital food supply for children, are being transported overland from Dubai through 7 countries to Afghanistan. This is being done to avoid the usual shipping route through the Strait of Hormuz. But the new route is taking 3 weeks longer than before. Aliyev told The Guardian that Afghan children are going hungry as a result and warned that many could die. if supplies continue to be delayed. The Guardian also reported that aid organizations are calling for a humanitarian corridor through the Strait of Hormuz, as disruption linked to the US and Israel's war on Iran has pushed up oil prices and blocked or slowed the movement of food, medicine and fuel. Here in Afghanistan, the impact is especially severe because the country depends heavily on imported aid. Any delay in food delivery means more pressure on families already facing hunger, poverty and limited access to basic services. Aid agencies say the crisis is being made worse by cuts to international aid budgets, while conflict is increasing the price of every shipment, food package and medical kit. The concern now is that unless transport routes reopen and costs come down, more children in Afghanistan and other crisis-hit countries could be pushed closer to starvation. Tamim Bahis in Kabul, A News.
Now, Kazakhstan has been hosting GTEX AI 2026, the region's largest technology and startup event. Most of the companies taking part are entering the Kazakh market for the first time as Almaty becomes a new meeting point for global tech players. International companies, investors and startups are there to present their solutions and to look at the region's potential as a growing technology hub. Our correspondent reports from Almaty.
Here in Almaty at the Atakent Exhibition Center, the first ever GITEX AI Kazakhstan is now in its second day. More than 300 companies from 60 countries are here showing technologies that until recently sounded like science fiction. They range from advanced AI systems to solutions already used in real industries. Investment talks, product launches and startups competing for attention and funding are all happening here. What really stands out is that around 85% of the companies are in Kazakhstan for the first time. For many of them, this is not just a presentation, it's a first look at the market and a chance to understand how the region works and what opportunities it offers. One of the solutions on display focuses on workplace safety.
So what we are seeing here is one of the product. It's called Smart Eye. We can, deploy this product across any, installed cameras in any construction company or industries. This is an industry agnostic solution. So what we do here is we develop a lot of use cases, especially on the HSE use cases. And you can see here, if in the live video, see for example, now I'm wearing a live vest and it is detecting, you can see a green indication there. So likewise, if I wear a helmet, gloves, it will detect. The same way in the real world, we have a lot of use cases developed. You can, as a HSE perspective, we can monitor the complete compliance, the PPE, as well as we also, evolved with other verticals in the retail industries, the, refineries, in energy industries.
There is also strong interest from investors. Funds from the United States, Europe, the Middle East and Asia, including Sturgeon Capital, are looking closely at startups from across the region. Among them are projects from Astana Hub and IT Park Uzbekistan.
В Узбекистане насчитывается более чем 950 стартапов.
In Uzbekistan, there are more than 950 startups. An IT park actively supports many of them. Today, more than 9 companies are taking part here at GITEX Kazakhstan, most of them IT startups. We help them not only grow within Uzbekistan, but also expand into global markets. And for us, GITEX Kazakhstan is exactly the kind of platform that makes this possible.
GITEX Kazakhstan именно считается такой площадкой.
On the second day, the focus is shifting to more practical questions, how to move from AI strategies to real infrastructure, and how to train the specialists who support it. The discussions cover everything from artificial intelligence and fintech to cybersecurity and smart energy as the region looks to turn plans into real projects. Fariza Kalimurzina, Natik Mamadov, A News, Almaty.
All right, after the break, we'll unpack how Armenia's growing engagement with the European Union is reshaping alliances across the South Caucasus. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, leaders from European Union and Armenia have met for a bilateral summit, signaling deeper political and economic ties at a time of shifting regional dynamics. Joining us now to discuss the geopolitical implications of this summit is Farhad Husseinov, PhD in political science and associate professor at Baku State University in Baku, Azerbaijan. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, several developments have taken place in Yerevan and Baku, including the EU-Armenia Summit Declaration. How important is it, and does it add anything new to the December 2025 strategic agenda?
We are talking about importance for Armenia. I think that it's the path that they have chosen for many years. They have always tried to be on good terms with Western allies, despite their very strong links with Russia. And if somebody thought that Armenia was just a satellite of Russia, I have always thought that it's a misunderstanding, because they wanted to be quite successful on both tracks. So I don't think that this is something new. It's just a result of this constant and persistent aspiration of Armenian leadership to be acclaimed and to be welcomed by the European Union. They were also part of European Neighborhood Program, and maybe today we are just observing the logical outcome of this process, which began many years ago. So, but in general, if we talk about the importance region also was the part of all European initiatives, and Azerbaijan and Georgia tried to sustain good relationships with European Union, also cooperated for many years with European Union, and were very grateful for their contributions to promoting democracies, good governance, and supremacy of law in this region. Unfortunately, some steps taken by the leadership of this organization was the reason for some misunderstanding in our country. We just didn't expect those steps, but nevertheless, we are still open for dialogue, and we consistent. We want to cooperate.
Yes. Now, the EU plans a civilian mission on hybrid threats before June elections, alongside 170 million euro support. How important is this for Armenia, and could it provoke a Russian response?
Well, I don't think that in Armenia they are afraid of Russian influence, in cyberspace on the election. But I think that European Political Community Summit and EU-Armenian bilateral summit is just a part of general Prime Minister Pashinyan's promotion campaign. They just want to show to the people of Armenia, to the people of Republic of Armenia, that he is a successful statesman. He is quite popular. He has support. In April, he met with President of Russian Federation. Now in May, he is organizing such a big event in the capital of Republic of Armenia. So he is working on both tracks and quite successfully, and both tracks supporting him. He is talking about huge agenda with both, and both of them are developing close ties with the country. And this is in your first question you asked about importance. So it's very important for Prime Minister Pashinyan. Pashinyan's rankings will just skyrocket after all these events.
Yeah, now I want to get your opinion on this. One of the key moments of the EPC summit was President Ilham Aliyev's criticism of the European and the subsequent response by its president, Roberta Metsola. At the same time, allegations and claims surrounding the former ICC prosecutor, Luis Moreno Ocampo, have been gaining renewed attention. To what extent could these developments affect the European Parliament's credibility in the eyes of both Baku and Yerevan?
First of all, European political community is a very good initiative because it brings many countries together and promotes cooperation. Our president also said that when we heard the decision to hold it in Yerevan, Azerbaijan supported this idea, but also asked for the balanced approach that we also would like to have to be host of this summit, and the European Union, the leaders of this organization agreed to this proposal. And I agree the European Union should continue this balanced approach. And I see the level of European Commission and not the level of European Council. They at least try to maintain this balanced approach. But as for European Parliament is very structure, right? Ms. Metsola said that we are directly elected. I'm trying to quote here. She said that we are elected democratic body, and we understand our outcomes, the outcomes of our decisions may leave nobody comfortable. We are not talking about here and using this opportunity, the opportunity A News presents. I would like to address Ms. Metsola and say that we are talking about comfort. We are not talking about leaving somebody happy or not happy. What we are just trying to do with Armenians, with the Republic of Armenia, is to learn to live under the condition of we have the peace process. The peace process for us is something very new. We had been at the with this country for almost 30 years, and now we want everybody to help us to build peace, not hinder this process. And those resolutions adopted by European Parliament, they are very inconsistent with the decisions of European Commission and European Council. But I think that European Parliament, maybe they are trying to copy, very unsuccessfully, but they are trying to copy US Congress, and they think that they somehow like American Congress. When American Congress present themselves as an independent body, independent of executive body, independent of president, European Parliament also wants to make us believe that they are independent, but they are not quite independent, and they want to appear. When we know that they are very heavily influenced by some interest groups, and some interest groups vastly presented some European countries, and some European countries just want to hinder this process, quite contrary to the interest of other interests. Other countries. So those countries are presented in European Parliament, but again, it's very destructive and very harmful process. European Parliament should understand quite simply. They may be, and they might be directly elected democratic body, but they should not take into account the aspirations of some lobbies, some interest groups. They should take into account, first of all, the efficiency of their organization. First of all, they present their organizations. Each European country have their own local parliament, and local parliament present the interests of the local. European Parliament, being directly elected, should also keep in the mind the interest and coherence. That's the word I want to stress and emphasize. The coherence of this organization, the European Union, which today is experiencing very difficult days and need coherence very much.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Farhad Husseinov, PhD in Political Science and Associate Professor at Baku State University. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, that's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.